last Tuesday, I did a workshop actually at the next hotel, just next door, the Holiday Inn. And we'll talk about the differences in a second. But we had a room, we had 88 people in the room. There were 4 speakers. I was one of 4 speakers. Okay, here's a picture of me at that conference. And there, the way to make money was to sell products. And we're going to spend some time on that because we have to. Having products to sell, not only does it feed your credibility, but it's a revenue source. And there's a lot of times that you might speak for free. You might speak for free somewhere, but if you have the opportunity to sell products, it can be worth your while because you get revenue there. So we have to talk about products. And I know some of you are thinking, I don't want to sell stuff. I don't want to be that person. And there's a science to selling products. And this is a 1-hour session, so we can't get really into that in a lot of detail. But suffices to say, you don't have to do a big pitch for your products. If you deliver real value and people are listening, and you're actually giving them something where they're thinking, as a golden rule, I always say this to people that I work with. I coach some people, not only on speaking, but also on internet marketing. But I tell people, never underestimate the passion of your audience. Because some of them are listening to you, and they are maybe more passionate about what you're saying than you are. Sometimes it's amazing. And people are sitting there, they're thinking, gosh, this is the solution to my problem. I am willing to go to the next step. And if you don't have a product to sell that person, they are left leaving without getting what they actually wanted. So anyway, I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on it, but we have to address products, and I'll do that. So let's look at the comparison between these two. In both conferences, or both events, I made about $1,500, roughly. But in the first, in Sweden, there was one invoice for me. Just think like an accountant for a second. There was one invoice in the room because the conference paid me a check. That was it. They got the audience. They got the people there. They collected the money from all those people, and they paid me one check. In the second, there was 88 invoices in the room. Everyone paid individually to be there, and some people bought products. And at the same time, the onus was on me and the other 3 speakers to get those people there in the first place, which is not easy to do. So some of you know that. So I'm not going to go through that in a whole lot of detail right here, but within the context of this whole presentation, just think about those differences. One invoice, 88 invoices, right? Their audience, your audience. So very, very different events. All right, so let's jump in. You don't necessarily have to do any of the stuff that I'm going to talk about. You can just submit a proposal. And sometimes you get lucky, and I'd like to start there because my first conference in Sweden, they brought me back. So it was the second time I went to this particular conference. But the first one that I went to, it was a lark. I was literally sitting at my desk. It was a Thursday evening. I had a beer on my desk. My day was over, and I was just surfing the web. And I thought to myself, I should speak at a conference. That would be a great way for me to build my platform, my credibility, is to speak at a conference. And so I typed into Google, Internet Marketing Conference. Well, it turns out there's one called Internet Marketing Conference, exact match, so it came up first. I was like, that's what I'm looking for, right? And I clicked on it, and on the left-hand side it said speakers, and I clicked on it, and it had a little thing where it said submit a proposal. And I was like, oh my gosh. All right. And so I filled out the form, and I started thinking, and I thought, what can I talk about? I need a juicy, exciting topic. And all of you, just right now and for the next 30 minutes, in your mind, what's the juicy topic in your industry? And how can you make it juicy? Really, maybe it sounds simple, but this is where the beef is. Because the person on the other end of your submission is going to look at it and be like, wow, that's going to make my conference easier to sell. Right? They're selling their conference. They're trying to get people to show up just like you came to this conference. Right? I didn't market to all of you to be here. Toastmasters did. And they gave you some information, and you looked at that information and said, wow, that looks great, I'm going to go. So just put yourself into their mind and think along those same lines. So I submitted this proposal, and I called it Monetizing Trust. bringing your audience from rapport to revenue, which in internet marketing is actually very important, because getting traffic to your website is one thing, but getting them to actually buy something, that's an entirely different animal. So it's a big topic. And the fact is, I didn't have really any experience at that point. And I submitted the proposal. I mean, I couldn't believe it. And then I didn't think much of it. I pressed submit, and I had my weekend. Anyway, I got on my computer on Monday morning, and of course there's a time difference, so this email had come in at 2 o'clock in the morning my time, saying, "We like your topic, we'd like to hear more about your presentation." And 2 months later, I went to Sweden. That was insane. So think, within the context of your business, what can your juicy topic be? This is the front cover of this handout, is what I send to people in PDF format as a proposal. That's it. It's one page. Right? You don't have to put something huge together. I put a description of the topic, the title, the description of the topic, my bio, and some highlights. That's it. You could put that together and submit something literally on Sunday, tomorrow. Okay, so just think a little bit about what's possible. Okay.